Welcome, English language learners, to Learn English with Profi Jaimi. Today, we're heading to San Florencio, where a young man is on a quest to recreate a legendary family dish. This story is all about cooking, understanding tricky instructions, and the special bond between family. Get ready to learn lots of cooking vocabulary and practice using imperative verbs. There's a saying in San Florencio, a quiet understanding that some of the best things in life aren't found in books or on maps, but in kitchens. And this story, about a young man named Diego, is a perfect example. Diego runs a lovely little cafe downtown, a place known for its excellent coffee and warm atmosphere. But his true passion, his culinary white whale, was his grandmother's legendary Molay. He was determined to master it, but his grandmother, Abuela Elena, had a very unique way of sharing her secrets. This is the story of how he finally cracked the code, with a little help from an unexpected interpreter. The quest for the legendary Molay. Diego Rivera was a man of precision. In his cafe, every espresso shot was timed perfectly, every latte art design was executed with practiced skill. But when it came to his Abuela Elena's Molay, all his precision seemed to vanish like steam from a hot cup. Abuela Elena's Molay wasn't just a dish, it was a legend in San Florencio. A rich, complex sauce, dark as midnight and deep with flavor, served over chicken or turkey. Everyone said it was the best they had ever tasted. Diego, naturally, wanted to carry on that tradition. He had spent months trying to coax the recipe from his grandmother. Abuela Elena, a tiny woman with eyes that sparkled with mischief, would always smile and say, "Oh, Diego, it's simple. Just a little of this, a little of that." Eventually, she wrote down what she called her recipe. Diego had been thrilled, imagining himself becoming the next Molay master of San Florencio. His excitement, however, quickly turned to frustration. The recipe was less a list of ingredients and more a collection of poetic riddles. For example, for the chilies, it read, "Toast until they give a whisper of smoke." For the broth, "Simmer until it's the color of a warm evening." And for the final touch, add just a pinch of love. Diego, following the instructions literally, had produced a series of culinary disasters. His first attempt at Molay was so smoky it tasted like a campfire. His second was a pale, watery brown, nothing like a warm evening. And as for the pinch of love, he had no idea what that meant. He tried adding extra salt, then a little more sugar, then a dash of cinnamon. Nothing. The Molay was either too spicy, too bland, too thin, or too thick. It was a constant struggle, and his kitchen often smelled of burnt chilies and dashed hopes. He was desperate. His cafe customers would occasionally ask if he served Molay, and he always had to shake his head, a pang of disappointment in his chest. He wanted to honor his grandmother, to share her legacy, but her instructions were a language he simply couldn't understand. He felt like he was beating his head against a brick wall. He had tried everything he could think of, but the Molay remained elusive. He was at his wits' end. He just couldn't figure out what his grandmother meant. January's intervention. One slow afternoon, I stopped by Diego's cafe for my usual tea. He looked particularly dejected, stirring a pot of something that smelled vaguely like sadness. "Everything all right, Diego?" I asked, taking a seat at the counter. He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "Abuela's Molay, January. I just can't get it right. She gave me her recipe, but it's impossible to follow. It's all poetry." He gestured vaguely at a stained notepad. like a whisper of smoke. How do you measure a whisper? I chuckled softly. Ah, Abuela Elena. I know her well. And I know that kind of recipe. You know, I lived in Oaxaca for a few years, and many of the traditional cooks there have a similar way of teaching. They don't use measuring cups and spoons for everything. They use their senses, their intuition. It's a different kind of precision. Diego looked at me, a flicker of hope in his eyes. You think you can help me interpret it? I think I can help you understand the language, I said, sipping my tea. It's not about literal measurement, it's about sensory cues. It's about feeling the ingredients, listening to them, watching them. It's about the art of cooking, not just the science. Diego's face brightened. Really? So, a whisper of smoke isn't about burning the chilies? Definitely not, I confirmed. It's about coaxing out their flavor, not destroying it. It's about patience and observation. If you're willing to try it her way, I'm happy to guide you. Diego grinned. Absolutely. I'm willing to try anything. When can we start? How about tomorrow morning? I suggested. We'll need to get some fresh ingredients. And a lot of patience. The interpretation process, unlocking the flavors. The next morning, Diego and I met at his cafe kitchen, which was usually spotless but now held the faint, lingering scent of his past Molay failures. We laid out Abuela Elena's enigmatic recipe. Our first task was to gather the ingredients. First, the chilies, I instructed. We need a variety for depth of flavor. Go to the market and pick out fresh ancho, pasilla, and mulatto chilies. Choose the ones that are plump and dark, with a slight sheen. Diego returned with a basket overflowing with beautiful, dried chilies. Okay, what's next for the whisper of smoke? He asked, eager. All right, I began, this is crucial. Heat a dry skillet over medium heat. Place the chilies one by one in the pan. Don't add any oil. This isn't about frying them. Watch them carefully. As they heat, they'll start to soften and release their aroma. You'll see a tiny wisp of smoke, almost invisible. That's your whisper. It means the oils are releasing. Remove them immediately when you see it. Don't let them burn, or your mole will be bitter. Feel them with your fingers, they should be pliable, not brittle. Diego followed my instructions, his brow furrowed in concentration. He watched the chilies intently, pulling them from the pan the instant he saw that faint, almost imperceptible smoke. I think I get it, he said, holding a perfectly toasted chili. It's about the smell, and the feel. Exactly, I affirmed. Next, the nuts and seeds. Abuela's recipe says, toast until they sing. Put the almonds, peanuts, and sesame seeds in the same dry skillet. Keep them moving constantly. Listen closely. They'll start to pop and crackle, a soft, musical sound. That's their song. It means they're perfectly toasted and fragrant. Take them out as soon as they start to sing. Don't let them get too dark. We continued through the list. For the onions and garlic, sauté until they weep. Chop the onions finely, I explained. Mince the garlic. Heat a little oil in a separate pan. Add the onions and garlic. Stir them constantly over low heat. They won't cry actual tears, of course. But they'll soften and become translucent, releasing their moisture. That's their weeping. It means they're sweet and ready to blend. Then came the spices, grind until the air breathes their essence. Measure out the cinnamon, cloves, cumin, and coriander, I instructed. Grind them fresh in a mortar and pestle, or a spice grinder. Inhale deeply as you grind. The moment the air around you is filled with their strong, beautiful scent, that's their essence. It means they're perfectly pulverized and aromatic. Don't overgrind them, or they'll lose their vibrancy. The most challenging instruction was for the broth. Simmer until it's the color of a warm evening. This is about patience, I told Diego. Combine the toasted chilies, nuts, sautéed vegetables, and spices with chicken broth in a large pot. Bring it to a gentle simmer. Stir it frequently, especially from the bottom, to prevent sticking. As it cooks, the colors will deepen. It won't happen quickly. Watch it closely. It will transform from a reddish brown to a rich, dark, almost mahogany hue, like the sky just after the sun has set, full of warmth and depth. That's your warm evening color. It means all the flavors have melded together perfectly. Diego, usually so quick, moved slowly, deliberately. He was tasting, smelling, feeling, listening. He was learning to trust his senses, not just a measuring cup. He was truly learning to cook like his grandmother. The revelation. Hours passed. The kitchen filled with an aroma that was unlike any of Diego's previous attempts. It was rich, earthy, sweet, and spicy all at once. The sauce in the pot was indeed transforming, slowly deepening into that elusive color of a warm evening. Finally, we reached the last, most mysterious instruction: add just a pinch of love. Diego looked at me, a hopeful but still puzzled expression on his face. So, what's the pinch of love, January? Is it more chocolate? More sugar? I smiled. It's simpler than that, Diego. It's about tasting, adjusting, and making it your own. Taste the Molay now. What does it need? A little more salt to brighten the flavors? A touch more sugar to balance the heat? A tiny bit more broth to get the perfect consistency? Adjust it slowly. Add a little at a time. And as you do, think about your grandmother, about the joy her Molay brings. That's the love. It's the care, the attention, the intention you put into it. It's the final touch that makes it truly yours, truly hers. Diego took a spoonful of the Molay, tasted it, then added a tiny bit of salt. He tasted again. Then a small piece of dark chocolate. He stirred, tasted again. His eyes widened. A slow smile spread across his face. That's it, he whispered, almost reverently. That's it. It's her Molay. It's exactly like hers. The flavor was deep, complex, perfectly balanced. It was the taste of his childhood, the taste of San Florencio, the taste of Abuela Elena. He had finally done it. Just then, the back door creaked open, and Abuela Elena herself walked in, carrying a basket of fresh tortillas. She sniffed the air, her eyes closing in pure contentment. "Ah, Diego," she said, her voice soft. "What is that wonderful smell?" Diego, beaming, offered her a spoonful. She tasted it, her eyes sparkling. She looked at him, then at me, and gave a slow, knowing nod. Perfect, mi hijo, she said, her smile wide. Just perfect. You've finally got it. Diego finally added Abuela Elena's Molay to his cafe menu. It was an instant hit, of course. People lined up for it, praising its authentic flavor, its incredible depth. But for Diego, it was more than just a popular dish. It was a connection to his heritage, a triumph of patience, and a lesson in understanding. The experience taught him that some of the most profound instructions aren't found in precise numbers, but in sensory experiences, in the nuances of language. It taught him to trust his instincts, to listen to the ingredients, and to put his heart into everything he creates. The pinch of love was never about an extra ingredient, it was about the presence of the cook, the intention behind the dish. And in San Florencio, a town full of quiet traditions and hidden wisdom, it was just another reminder that sometimes, the most important lessons are learned not by following a strict formula, but by truly feeling your way through the process. It was a beautiful thing to witness, a true culinary journey. And in my opinion, Diego's Molay is now just as legendary as his grandmother's. We hope you enjoyed today's story and that it helped you practice your English listening skills. If you did, please give this video a like. And if you want to hear more stories and lessons to improve your English, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.